Hello, my name's Kevin Rourke, and I'm making a video response to Gothnog. He asked who to describe one of our favourite NPCs. I've had a few ones that I've liked. Oddly enough, a lot of ones I end up really liking. I often find just the guys in the spur of the moment, because you just kind of get a feel for them. Not every guy in the spur of the moment works out, but just sometimes even this is a perfect example of just a throwaway character or just make up a spur of the moment ends up becoming so much more. I hadn't really planned anything big. This is just some kind of side thing. The PCs, it was a Pathfinder game. The PCs were all nobles of different houses, watching a lot of Game of Thrones at the time. So they're all basically doing odd jobs for the king. They're doing different little things. And it was an honour for a noble house to be given the opportunity to send one of their members there. So, like, okay. And they'd thrown new ones. So it was pretty cool. The guys I basically said, I'm going to make the city designed around what you guys have. And because most of the PCs came out with actual, like all the PCs came out with human characters, just for whatever reason, we end up in an almost entirely human city. So that's the way I did it, and I figured out how it had to work. All I had in the start was, it's a port city. It's a city-state, an independent city-state, a port. So I was like, okay. And the guys came up with different things. But the Chancellor, one of the high-up guys, was kind of the guy who was managing them effectively. He invited them to dinner. And I did one thing where I used various pictures of Hugh Laurie to represent all the members of the family. And I think it was one of the ones from Blackadder where he's dressed up with like ringlet kind of hair, all the wigs, that kind of stuff, and just played him off as incredibly ridiculously foppish and quite stupid. Like, not completely stupid, but quirky and odd, and the fact that all the members of the family looked the same, or almost all of them looked the same, except for there was like one guy who there were rumours they found out later on was a bastard child. It's like, yeah, that's a bit odd, isn't it? I wasn't trying to imply anything. I just like, very odd thing of doing it like that. Well, it was a very light-hearted game. But during dinner day, he's like, oh, I'll send for entertainment. And they were all eating various different things. The guys were all describing how what their characters were asking for. We had a bit where the wizard Lothar had he got them to get a little plate of various bits of meat and a little tiny thimble of wine, which is a familiar crow was eating. And this guy had to eat the entertainment, which was, they had this kobold which had been chained up and dressed in a jester's outfit, and every now and again your man would shout at him and throw Brussels sprouts. And I was describing throwing things at him, and I just did Henry just kind of like do the shuffle, like as horrible as iron. It was meant to be really kind of like, oh my god. It's like, I'll admit I've got a pretty a dark sense of humor a lot of the time when it comes to things, like not all the time, but I was like, in a very bad way, this was kind of funny to me. And the guys were like, okay, I don't wish it on anyone, but the guys were like, okay, we can't leave this guy like here. So some were like, oh well, one of their tasks they're going after trying to find out something was going on. So like, oh, we've heard tales of kobold attacks and this one had been left behind. So the guys were like, okay, well maybe if we take him with us, this one could help us provide information if we encourage him to give it to us. And I was like, okay, and that actually sounds like a reasonable idea. So I was like, oh, will I lose my entertainment? And then one of the bard leans over and was like, oh yes, but it's a bard was Ahmed, who actually came up with, he didn't want to be from the city. He was from another city. He was a ambassador's son, the ambassador of another faraway city-state. And Ahmed was like, oh well, obviously if we go attack these guys, we might be able to capture some alive and bring you back 10 kobolds. It's like, oh, this sounds great. It's like, yeah, no, take them away. And the kobold didn't speak Draconic. Sorry, he didn't speak common, but he did speak Draconic, which, at least initially, only the the wizard was able to speak. And he asked him what had happened. He's like, they had been taking food from a farm, you know, and the of the human soldiers showed up, and they tried running, but he tripped over in a ditch, and he broke his ankle and was captured and being. He didn't know what dance meant. He doesn't speak common. All he knows is they stopped throwing Brussels sprouts and hurting him when he shuffles in this particular way or something. He doesn't understand what the hell's going on. And you're like, okay. I was like, oh well, you know, you've got to, you know, trying to come out, you know, oh, your people attacking kind of thing. He's like, as far as he was concerned, he's like, they're like, oh, you shouldn't have been stealing from the farm. He's like, why? They should have guarded it better if they didn't want the stuff taken. They're leaving it all out there. It's like, no, you got to put up traps and things. It's like, that's not stealing if you just leave it out there. That was their approach. They were like stealing carrots and different things out of the ground. They're like, no, you clearly if you really wanted this, you better protect it. You're only stupid humans. And the guys tried to figure out from him, was okay, where is your base kind of type thing. They're like, okay. And they said to him, look, we'll set you free if you can go. He ends up becoming a retainer of the wizard of the group, and even the bard starts doing the same. But it was really funny because a couple of members of the group didn't know how to speak his language, and I just had him saying stuff sometimes. He developed a passionate and justified hatred of the party's ranger, Lorna, I think it was, who he was kind of justified in hating her, particularly for what happened later on. And it was kind of odd how this kind of, because I really didn't think they were going to like, oh well, you know, maybe they set him free, but they encouraged him to kind of stick with them. And the guy's like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if you actually end up becoming, you know, good eventually, you know, kind of thing. So like, we don't have to fight the kobolds necessarily, we just need to figure out what's going on. He didn't believe it was his own people who had done the attacks against some of the merchant caravans. Even though it was supposed to be kobold, it was like, well, my tribe, you know, we didn't do it. Not that I know of anyway, I wasn't involved. He eventually ended up trusting them enough that when they reached the kobold settlement, which is all underground, he was willing to vouch for them. So a small number went inside, and they gave their words not to fight. And I kind of tried to give this thing where they're being led through various tunnels. Like somebody ran ahead of them. They're being led through various tunnels, and there was a throne in the middle of a small underground lake with an underground waterfall behind it. So it's kind of some of this cool stuff going on. But they talked to the kobolds and like, okay, this is, you know, it's like, but yeah, we're pretty sure we believe it's not them. And they're like, oh well, you know, they tried to. It's like, okay, we're pretty sure it's definitely not these kobolds who are doing it. They're like, oh yeah, it's not us. It's probably those zombie kobolds. And the guys are like, what? Yeah, the zombie kobolds. We haven't seen them over there. It's like, there's zombie kobolds. Why'd you know? It's like, you're like, okay, we'll definitely go investigate that because that sounds like something. There's something mysterious afoot. Wow. But they decided. The mage decided. Lothar decided. I will. I'm just trying to remember the name of the group's fighter now. It was Charles. I can't remember his name, but the Lothar decided, I will. He's like, oh well, maybe we could. While we're here, we could talk. Well, how would you feel about if we had like kind of a non-aggression thing, where, you know, you respect the borders? And they're like, yeah, what's in it for us? And he's like, well, we could talk about it later on, but we might be able to get some food out of it, you know, different things. So they're like, hey, well, yeah, well, food. Okay, we're willing to talk. You know, we're willing to talk about food. I'm not agreeing to anything, but okay, I'll talk with you guys about that. No problem. But as they adventure, the kobold sticks with them, and eventually he's lower level than them. But I start giving him a class. I found a funny picture of it looked like a kobold monk, kind of in robes with a quarterstaff. So I described him, going off doing things. But it was really funny because he was better liked than certain other members of the party. To put it bluntly, he hated that ranger. He cried out various things at different times. I think in Draconic he screamed at her, "Stop running away, you stupid whore," because they were fighting the zombie kobolds, and she started running away. She started basically shooting and running back, and it was like, "You're one of our best close combat guys." Like, "Oh, but no, I shoot." It was like the wizard was closer. Like, she was kept pulling back, and it really was like, like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" I know, I kind of get what the player was going for, but Sean Dale couldn't speak to her. All he knew was this woman. He hated this woman. She was annoying the hell out of him. So he's like, "Screw you." I think he said because we had this great moments where he would turn around to Lothar the wizard and Ahmed, who later on learned Draconic, and he's like, I think he just turned around and said, "If things go badly, I will kill the ranger." I don't think he ever bothered ringing her names. Like, he'd always say something derogatory about her. He's like, I will shoot the ranger in the leg, and if we flee, I will shoot the ranger in the leg, and we can leave her to slow them down. And like, maybe I shouldn't do this. Like, she'd do the same for us. And he was worried she would slit his throat in her sleep. His hatred and they never translated this, so she didn't know, but she went off and she told her family and various other people. She told her family where these kobolds were, and they basically decided we're gonna take them out. Except for he hadn't. I'm not sure if Lorna had gone inside, but knew where the entrance was to this place. I'm not sure if Lorna had gone inside. Even if they hadn't seen the whole of the place, like, the kobolds just took them to one place. They only got to see a small apartment. And kobolds are really good at setting up traps. So that didn't work out terribly well for Lorna's people. And then when it was found out that this stuff had happened, he really wanted to kill her. It was one of the first times I'm actually in there, like, this is an NPC who's turned friendly, and he really wants to kill the PCs. He's like, I won't get away with it. I won't be able to survive. Not now. So he would bide his time. The campaign was a short one, but by the time we got to the end, it actually had some we had some fun where he left. He's like, I can't. I think it was actually, it was getting close to the end. He's like, after he found out what she's done, he's like, I can't stay near her, and if I kill her, she's no one of your people. They'll kill me. So he's like, or it might have been after the last fight. It was actually after the last fight, where Lothar unfortunately died. So we had in the epilogue, kind of after the campaign, the guys went off adventuring and got him raised, but he was like, how about you just don't tell my family, because he got sick of the politics. Because I mean, politics, like, yeah, you're nobles, politics is there. He got sick of the politics and having to uphold the duty of his family, and he was like, screw it, I'm a powerful wizard. Well, he was like level 7 or something. He's like, I'm a powerful wizard, I can go off. If they all think I'm dead, which I am, can't I just go away? And himself and Chandel left. And I said, oh yes, you're escaping. I had to make up some crap. I was like, like, Charlie does go here. It's like, oh, I'll go with him. It's like, yes, you go on a boat in a faraway city to go beyond, to unexplored lands on the boat beyond the Cape of Reason. Like, oh, that's really cool. You should do a campaign there. It's like, I have nothing for beyond the Cape of Reason. It just sounds like a cool cape. It's like, yes, you must go beyond the Cape of Reason. So it's like, so that's how he left the game. He left the game with a PC, with PCs at the very end, except for he gave a letter to Ahmed the Bard. And I said, please deliver this to Laurel. And he had it he learned Common. Just from being around the guys so much, he learned Common. He put it, like, he got full on stats. He's lower level the guys, but he got full on stats after a while. And he wrote a letter to her. And he was like, she gets to learn reads it, and the letter is from Chandel going, "Someday I'll return in the dead of night, and I will kill you mercilessly. Yours truly, John Dill." I love the response. Read it. Throws it in the fire. Just like some petty kobold scum trying to kill her. She's like, no, I don't give a crap about that. So I loved the fact that we had this little kind of NPC I was just kind of throwing in for like, oh, Art Noble's cruel and evil, for the kind of the light-hearted, morbid humour of the campaign. And he ended up becoming actually a very popular character amongst the players. Despite what I planned, it just bizarrely, but we had a lot of fun with him, and I'm glad that we went with it, and I went looking for pictures for him, because if he wasn't a monk, he would end up being very different, because he was lawful. I had it that he was lawfully ill. At one stage, he was, if you were to use the alignment system, which I'm getting less enthusiastic about. It's pretty much like, yeah, if you're a paladin, you have to act like a paladin, live it up. But for another class, like, I don't care. But in that campaign, one thing I tried to do is like, everybody write your alignment down to start the campaign. 3 sessions in, like, I'm going to take down what you have. 3 sessions in, once I've seen the way you've been behaving for the effects of spells and stuff like that, I'm going to write down what your alignment is really in my books. It'd be very easy for the paladin to know, because their paladin will stop working, but everybody else is like, oh yeah, here, just use this spell, that only affects evil creatures. Oh, it's affecting you, guess you're evil. Depending on how the PCs actually worked. So he was actually going into lawful neutral. And then Lorna did that, and his little draconic heart was filled with hatred once more. But Chandil, the kobold monk, now lost beyond the Cape of Reason with his friend Lothar, or was it Luthor, was one of my favourite NPCs of late. So you asked, and I told you. Goodbye.